Hey, this is Krista from K Music and Design, and I'm here to answer the question, why aren't all guitar strings played? The quick answer is we always want to be playing the note name of the chord first. The longer and more in-depth answer is coming at you right now. Taking a look at this table, we have all of our strings starting from our high E all the way down to our low E string, with our frets starting from open at the top here all the way up to fret number 12. It's important to know the name of the note on each string and each fret. For example, E1, if we line those ones up, is our note name F. And this will come in handy for the rest of the video. If you would like to check out my other video, Understanding the Fretboard, I explain where the note names are in certain chords, such as E minor, G major, and C major, using tablature. In this video, I'm going to be using this chart, which is quite similar to using tabs. In our G major chord, we have an E3, B2, and a high E3. Let's try out the G major scale to see which notes will sound good together when starting on a G. And if you would like to know why there's an F sharp in the G major scale, make sure to check out my Circle of Fifths video when it is out. In the G major scale, we start by playing the low E string and work our way up to the high E string in a quick strum. Now let's see if the notes in our G major chord correspond with the G major scale notes. We start with a G for G major chord. This is another reason we start with that G, because it is in the name of the chord. Not all chords will start with the name of their chord, but most do. So we have that G, so we play the G first, and second, we'll play a B to keep in this pattern. Next, we don't have any notes circled for the G major chord, so that means we are still going to be playing the D string. So this is going to be D on open. That's going to be the third note that gets played. Same thing with the G string. We play G open, so the note name and sound is of a G. So we're going to be playing the G that is higher. I'm going to keep our alphabet going because the notes keep going higher on the strings. The next note that's going to be played following this strum is a B. So open B on the B string. That's going to be the fifth note that we're going to be playing, still within our G major scale notes. And the last note we are going to be ending on is a G, and it's 2 G's higher than the first G that we played. So in this particular chord, we are going to be playing 3 different G sounds. We're going to be playing the low G, the middle G, and a high G. We know that all of the notes in the G major chord correspond with the G major scale, starting on that nice low G, E3. Let's try this out on a different chord. The C major chord. And a lot of times we don't put a plus sign for major, we don't put a big M for major for guitar. We use a nice capital C to represent major. And if it were a C minor, sometimes we just put the lowercase c, but most of the times you will see that lowercase m for minor, C minor. But let's stick to the C major chord. For this chord, we place our fingers on B1, D2, and A3. I'm going to go ahead and also circle all of the remaining open notes here. I'm going to write out a nice long C major scale, as we may need to go into a second octave. So we most certainly will need to go into a second octave for at least one of the notes. The C major scale has 0 sharps and 0 flats due to the circle of fifths. Let's start on a nice low E and work the strum all the way up to the high E, or downstroke to the high E. So E would be number 1. Our C right here is number 2 that will be heard. E3, G is going to be the 4th note that's heard. C is the 5th note, and we need to go even higher to the last note, that E. So let's think, do all of these notes work with the C major scale? Yes, they do. And now you're thinking, if you've seen some of my previous guitar videos, or if you're a guitar student of mine, if we think back to that G major chord that we had, we started on the note G. And the 5th string, this A string right here, 5th from the high string, we start on that C. So what we're going to be doing is taking away this E, and we're not going to be playing the E. Because in an E major chord, the C and the G would have been sharp. This would make the chord sound a little bit off, as the notes are not all correct to the E major. But if we completely took away that E string, that low one there, scribble it all out there, and only played these 5 strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we start on a C, and because of our C major scale, none of those notes need to be sharp or flat. This will allow all the notes to sound very nice together. So taking that into consideration, let's try another chord, the D major chord. When we place our fingers on the fretboard of the guitar, we have a high E on fret number 2, fret number 3 on the B string, and fret number 2 on the G string. I'm going to circle the remaining string names and write out the D major scale. And again, only certain notes are sharped because of the circle of fifths. That one tells us which notes are sharp and which notes are flat. I'm going to write out 2 octaves there. And really quick, an octave goes from one note name to the next note name. So there's 1 octave, and again from the D to D, so there's 2 octaves there in total. Now thinking about starting with the note name of the chord, let's completely eliminate any of the open chords that are not a D. So that's going to be taking away the A and the low E string. So now we have to start on a D, as the D string open is going to be our first note. That one is our middle D there, so we're starting with the middle D and strumming down but going higher in sound. So D is the first note name that we're going to hear. A is the second one. If we keep going, D is the third note we're going to hear, and F sharp is the last note we are going to hear. And all 4 of those notes correspond with the D major scale that we have here. So we know that all of the notes in the D major chord are going to sound nice without playing the A and the low E string. And let's do one last chord. Let's switch to a minor. Our lowercase and lowercase m for minor chord. E minor chord. This one's nice and easy. We have an A fret 2 and a D fret 2. So smushing those fingers side by side. I'm going to write out 2 octaves of the E minor scale, and I'm going to keep them lowercase just to remind us that we are in minor. The E minor scale has 1 sharp. all the way up to the 2 octaves there. And for the scale to really sound nice, we're going to raise the 7th note, which is the D, and make it sharp. And I will be explaining the difference between melodic and harmonic in an upcoming video, so make sure you stay tuned. And let's circle all of the open notes here. And we're going to take away any strings that are lower than the string that starts with an E. And in this case, our E is the lowest. Starting on our low E and strumming down to our high E. This one will have all 6 strings because E is the lowest string. And let's double check that all of the notes in the E minor chord correspond with the E minor scale. So we're starting with that nice low E, moving on to the B, and then moving up our strum or down our strum, whichever way you want to think about that. Onto our E for the 3rd note that will be heard, then to our G for the 4th note, B for the 5th note, and the 6th note, because there are 6 strings being played, will be that high E. And there you have it. That is the basic long version of why we only play certain strings for certain chords. Make sure to check out my other videos, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for more musical content. And if you would like to comment on this video, head over to either Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at K-Music and Design and comment on any of the videos. Make sure you use the hashtag MusicTheoryVids with the name of the video and your comment. And also consider supporting me on patreon.com/kmusicanddesign. Thank you for including me on your musical journey. Happy learning!